Hello. Today I'm going to talk about emotions, but I want to talk about having a certain level of insight with your emotions. It'll get clear what I mean by that. This is usually regarding when we interact with other people. Uh, with that in mind, I want to premise that people have to understand that our emotions are contagious. Um, they need to be, actually. If they weren't contagious, we wouldn't be empathetic. We would have a lot of problems if our emotions were close to being kind of like sociopaths. If we didn't have that component behind the emotions, they need to be contagious, and we need to be able to pick them up, and we need to kind of become aware of it in order to understand that dynamic between two people when it comes to their emotions. People understand sometimes when they're in talking, dealing, or trying to help or direct or guide somebody, they know what's going on cognitively. They understand what needs to be done cognitively, but then they'll tell me, "But I'm confused. I don't feel like I know what I'm doing." Well, that's not because it's you. It's because you're empathetic. You're picking up the confusion and the irritation of the other person, and it's not yours. We don't even know we're doing this, and it's very true. We do it consciously, unconsciously, however you want to say it. If I walk into a room with an attitude, you preemptively know that, and you take a different position, a different stance. Why? Because unconsciously or even consciously, you know, or you become aware of their emotions, and you internalize it as part of your own. And that's where it gets messed up. You become aware of it, which is awesome. You become informed of it, which is awesome. But you take an ownership of their emotions. That is not awesome. It's a boundary issue. And that takes an extra step to understand that. And I deal with it all the time. Sometimes I'll talk to people in relationships or individual capacities, and they'll tell me about, "Well, I know this, I know that, but I'm confused." From everything you just told me, you're not confused. You know what the plan is. You know what is necessary. But I think you're communicating and empathic to their emotions. And that's very insightful. And you need to do that. So just sometimes when you're interacting with people, instead of saying, "Well, this is what I'm feeling," this probably is what you're feeling. But the reality is, sometimes you have to understand that you're feeling that so you can understand what they're feeling too. Is a very powerful level of interaction, and you need to use it appropriately. I use it as like a chili analogy. I can tell you I put cayenne pepper in there, I put peppers, I put onions. That has a certain limit to its capacity to understand what chili is and how we can help the chili. However, if I get a bowl of it and I taste it, I know very well what I'm tasting, what the ingredients, what's there and what's not there. I'm actually a better informed consumer when I'm tasting the chili versus when I'm being told what's in the chili. Like any chef, they taste our food. They're better informed consumers in the process. That's kind of how our emotions are. We have to taste that experience of the other person to get an idea of our own process. But you have to know there's a limit to that, and it requires a certain awareness. But you have to understand that when you go into these situations, keep your own emotions in check just to make sure they're yours and not theirs. There is that contagious component to emotions, and it's very necessary. It's actually caused by mirror neurons that we have, and those mirror neurons pretty much mimic nonverbals and other information that is being processed in our environment as though it is ours. It kind of mirrors it, and they call them mirror neurons, and that is one of the bases for understanding social IQ, empathy, as well as other things too. So it's pretty much has a purpose, and it needs to be used, but within reason. So that being said, that's kind of what I wanted to say, is how emotions are contagious, and we don't even know it, but yet we do. In a previous installment, I also talked about a set of eyes, these different set of eyes that we have, and how emotions are another set of eyes. Well, this is another set of eyes, but it's kind of in tune to the whole notion of emotions. Those set of eyes give us that extra information to understand what's in front of us and even with ourselves. So this feedback that we pick up from other people That's the extra set of eyes, and we have to be aware of that. Otherwise, we're just going to be reacting. And when we react and don't have that extra step in order to get that awareness, I liken it to a pinball machine. And you pull the trigger, you let it go, and the ball just goes its course, and it's a series of reactions. And it's very behavioral, very concrete. So we have to interrupt that. So awareness and insight can help prevent those patterns from repeating. So have this awareness and this insight, and try to take that extra step to realize that those are not your emotions, those are the emotions in front of you.